What is going on, Anime Society? Welcome back to this week's episode of the continuation of the Anime Society podcast. You know who it is. It's your boy Hunter, and with me as always is my best friend and co-host Jonah. Jonah, say what's up to the people.
What's good?
There we go. And with that, we are getting ready to jump into today's episode, but before we do that, as always, we want to say a big thank you to all of you that have been liking and subscribing to the channel. If you've enjoyed our content, obviously being in the comments below, we really appreciate that. Also, those of you that have been following us on Instagram, and now you can follow us as well on a new social media platform. The Anime Society has officially joined Twitter. That's right, we are now in the Twitter spheres. You can talk to us on Twitter. You can share some stuff with us that you've been wanting to talk to us about on Twitter. I think that's going to be a really good way for us to be able to going forward, communicate with our fans other than just through Instagram and the YouTube comments. So if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. We will drop a link in the description below for you can find us there. And with that, we are going to go ahead and jump into this week's episode, and we are doing a continuation of one of our series that we have already had going on, and that is the Best Father Figures in Anime, Part 2.
The first part of this installment actually did really well, so we thought that you guys must have liked it for it to have done as well as it did, so we want to continue that. It's been a while since we visited this topic, but I'm excited for the people that we have picked out.
And with that, Jonah, go ahead and take away the first best father figure in anime.
So father figure number 1 for today is Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. Anyone who has watched Assassination Classroom is already having, their tear ducts well up remembering the great Koro Sensei. This man was absolutely amazing. The anime did the manga justice. They did it phenomenally well. Everyone who's watched the show knows how it ends. And I mean, it's like sad, but it's extremely satisfying at the same time. To give you like an overall summary, I guess, of the story of Assassination Classroom is you have this weird looking alien life form named Koro Sensei, who has destroyed 70% of the moon to where it's now permanently in like a crescent shape. And he comes down and he basically makes a deal with the Japanese government where he becomes the teacher of this classroom of kids, probably like 20 kids or so.
Yeah.
And his job is to teach them how to assassinate him. And the Japanese government says, we'll give $100 million to the kid who ends up killing Koro Sensei. And so it's kind of like this deal that they made to where if by the end of the school year no one has killed him yet, then Koro Sensei is going to destroy the entire Earth. And so he goes in and it creates a really interesting dynamic because Koro Sensei is training the people that are going to kill him. He is trying to get them to a level where they can't kill him.
But at the same time, even though he's teaching them how to kill him, essentially how to assassinate him, there's also camaraderie being built between Koro Sensei and the students. What we can kind of guess, that it doesn't really tell you that they are rejects, but these could almost be some of the troublemakers. They make really bad grades in school, so they've all kind of been pushed into this one classroom. And it's one of those moments where he's taking them all underneath his tentacles. I can't say wings. He's taking them all in underneath his tentacles and basically saying, look, I'm going to treat you with respect. I'm going to teach you essentially how to assassinate me, but I'm also going to teach you life lessons along the way. And he probably didn't expect to teach them life lessons as he goes along. But I think they kind of went hand in hand. Koro Sensei was good for the children, teaching them what it feels like to actually kind of be cared for and have somebody actually care about their success. Because like we said, this is basically a class of rejects. They've made bad grades and troublemakers, maybe bad family solutions. So they've all kind of been cast to the side where almost it's like, hey, whether you fail or pass, it doesn't matter to us. You got to do this on your own.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were like literally cast aside. Not even like as a figure of speech, but What wasn't like the building where
Yes,
they met?
it was separate.
Separated from the school as a whole. Like
Yeah,
they had
it was separate.
right. From what the story gives you, it's like the school was run on kind of like a merit-based situation where depending on your grades and your standing in the school, you moved up to higher classrooms, right?
Yes.
Like the A classrooms were the best, then B classrooms, C classrooms, D classrooms. And all of those were located in the main school building. But the E classroom, they were literally sentenced to like a shack classroom that was separated from the school. Like they were trash, they were filth that couldn't even mingle with the rest of the students because the faculty and staff were afraid that they would corrupt them or drag other people down with them. I mean, it was literally like a permanent timeout.
Yeah, it was permanent timeout, but that's where I was getting to, they kind of went hand in hand, where Koro Sensei, sure, his job was to teach them how to be assassins. That's what everybody, a part of the school system, knew. That's what those kids were being trained to do, except for the other students in the school. They knew that was their goal. They were being trained to be assassins. But he took it a step further and said, I'm also going to build your confidence up and teach you about how to go on about life, that you're good enough to obviously be a part of this school, that you can make the grades, that you're not just some cast-off, and essentially taught them how to pursue your dreams. You're not what everybody is labeling you to be. And then you look at it on the other hand. I know we're talking about how good Koro Sensei is of a father figure, but the children did good for Koro Sensei as well. They definitely softened his heart, and that was obviously what led him to be able to embrace them more, almost like they were his children.
No, it was definitely a very mutually beneficial relationship. And one of the things that I love about Koro Sensei is one of the themes throughout Assassination Classroom is he tries to encourage each student to find something that they're good at or they're passionate about. He doesn't, I mean, one of the problems that I have with school systems in general, is we're all graded on the same things, but we're not rewarded according to our talents. We have one kind of standardized method and everyone is judged according to that standard,
Right.
Whereas Koro Sensei, he took that and manipulated it in a way where he would let each student's talents and passions shine.
Mm-hmm.
He gave each student something to believe in and made them feel like they had worth and they had value.
Yeah.
And I think it was really important to those kids because, a lot of them, like we said, they had family troubles at home, or they didn't get very much attention, or they had other kinds of situations that left them feeling like they didn't have anyone who believed in them and that they didn't have any worth. They were just kind of trash left to be, scattered until the day that they die. Koro Sensei really instilled a confidence in them.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is he helped them forge bonds with other people. At the beginning, it seems like each member of the class is kind of separated. You don't really have friend groups. People aren't trying to work together. But by the end, they're this really well-functioning team, where everyone relies on each other and combines their strengths in order to achieve a goal.
And with that is going to end the first figure that we think is one of the best father figures in anime. Now we're going on to another best father figure in anime, and this comes from the Dragon Ball Z series, actually the whole Dragon Ball series, Piccolo. And why do we say the green Namekian is a great father figure when he has no kids of his own and started out as a villain? Well, that's because, for those of you that have not seen Dragon Ball Z, at one point, Goku sacrifices himself to defeat Raditz, who, for some reason, they decided to make Goku's brother. So he defeats his own brother, but through that, he had to sacrifice himself. So Goku is dead at the time, therefore leaving Gohan, his small child son, without a father. Chi-Chi can't teach him anything. Chi-Chi just wants him to go to school and be educated. We know exactly what Dragon Ball is about, and that is Z fighters. So who was going to teach Gohan how to be a Z fighter? And there steps in Piccolo. Goku said, Piccolo, I will let you kill me to help me defeat Raditz if you'll do one thing. Teach Gohan. Take care of Gohan for me. So Piccolo had Gohan shoved onto him, And at first you're thinking, well, how do you think Piccolo is a really good father figure when he made Gohan go out into the wilderness on his own for like 10 to 15 days just to train at like the age of 7? Like, he just is like, go, no, I will not be taking, you will go and live in the woods at first.
Yeah.
But after that, they really got close.
Yeah.
Piccolo took him in and would teach him, essentially was the father that Goku wasn't. And he is that way throughout the whole Dragon Ball series. I know that was when Dragon Ball Z was when Piccolo was introduced to Gohan and took on the role of the father figure. But even in Dragon Ball Super, the latest edition of the Dragon Ball series, they're getting ready to go back and start fighting in the Tournament of Power. Gohan has been a professor for years. He hasn't really trained his martial arts to be back to the top. And who does he go to train? He doesn't go to his father, Goku. He goes to Piccolo. And him and Piccolo, they begin to train, and it's a weird father-son relationship because it's mostly built on training. But it's also one of those things where a father figure to anybody can just be somebody that was in your life. And if you look at it in contrast to how much Goku was really in Gohan's life, Piccolo definitely was the better father figure, and he wasn't even his blood father.
And Piccolo, like you were saying, I feel like it's this, on the outside, you would look at it and be like, what the heck? Piccolo wasn't even a good father because of his, like, tough love type tactics. You know?
It was very tough love.
But I think Piccolo, he understood what was ahead on the path that Gohan was trying to take. And so he realized that this kind of tough love was necessary to facilitate Gohan's growth so that he would be able to succeed later in life. It's this interesting, because like while Piccolo is giving Gohan this tough love, you can tell that he isn't doing it just to be a douche. He's doing it because he knows what's best for Gohan. And I love Piccolo because Piccolo has a really cool, he has a really interesting character story, and his development is really amazing because, like you said, Piccolo was like the OG antagonist. He was the OG villain. Yes. He was this tyrant, and he starts out as that, and then, like you said, going all the way up to Super and everything in between, he develops into this really, I want to say low-key compassionate, because he doesn't let this show on the surface, but this low-key compassionate and loving mentor for one of the most talented Saiyans of all time.
Yeah, and it's something that I don't think is brought to the light even more. I think it's funny. I've seen throughout the years, obviously as anime has grown throughout the United States, sometimes on social media, every time Father's Day comes around, it'll be like Happy Father's Day, and they'll put Piccolo holding Gohan. I think it's hilarious. I think it's so funny because they understand. They understand. Yeah. I mean, the one that probably gets most of Goku's attention is Goten.
Yeah.
But even then, that's because even Goku, I think, realizes, okay, Gohan and Piccolo's relationship is so much deeper than mine and Gohan's relationship. Sure, Gohan knows that his real father is Goku, but the one that Gohan goes to for any of his troubles and anything that he needs worked out, it's Piccolo. And I think that's really what makes Piccolo a good father figure. It's not just one of those things where he did a bunch of stuff for you, he gave you a bunch of stuff, it was just the fact that he was there. He was just there when Goku wasn't.
Alright, well, that wraps up Piccolo. And so the last father figure in today's episode is Kamina from Gurren Lagann. I feel like I think Gurren Lagann's pretty underrated, actually, because not a lot of people that I know have watched it. But Kamina is the best friend of Simon, the protagonist of Gurren Lagann. And the story starts out, and all of humanity, you're given the impression that all of humanity kind of lives underground in these tunnel cave type things, because these monsters have basically ravaged the surface of the earth. And so it's the only place that they have left to run. And so Simon is this, young boy, really, really talented tunnel digger. He's very reserved and shy. And so Kamina is his best friend. And Kamina is almost like the polar opposite. He has absolutely otherworldly confidence and charisma. and he's constantly getting Simon involved into his escapades and stuff because Kamina thinks of him as like a little brother. I guess you could say a son. Kamina, he doesn't have his own father. His father disappeared a few years before the story starts, I believe. And so he doesn't know his own dad. Simon doesn't know his own dad. And so Kamina becomes that figure for Simon. One of Kamina's best quotes that I love is he constantly tells Simon, because Simon's like, well, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do that. And Kamina's like, stop worrying. Like, believe in the me that believes in you. And so he really instills a lot of confidence in an otherwise very introverted, reserved young man.
And from the beginning, you always got the feeling they portrayed Kamina obviously being bigger than Simon. That was just obviously to play into he's older than Simon. He might be a little bit wiser. And Kamina had the idea. He always wanted to go to the surface. He always wanted to see what was up. He wanted to see the stars, essentially, if you want to throw a little Tower of God reference in there. He wanted to see he wanted to see the stars. He wanted to see what was above. He didn't believe that life was only supposed to be lived underground. And he tried to instill that into Simon the whole time during maybe the first or second. It was really early when they broke through the surface. They wanted to make sure that was clear. But Kamina, he wanted to make sure through the whole time that Simon was gaining confidence in himself, and it was essentially telling him, hey, like, this life is not all just about digging tunnels, Simon. You can be more than just a good tunnel digger. There is more to life than just living underground. And he was instilling in Simon that there's the confidence that we were saying Koro Sensei was putting in his students, and then there was also, he was just there, like we said Piccolo was doing for Gohan. He was there for Simon. In the end, he did everything he could to protect Simon and to protect everybody that he had gotten up and out of underneath. I don't even know what it was called under there. Like their village, I guess you could call it. They were just living down there in a village. But, you know, he got everybody up and out from underneath the rocks up into the light, and he wanted to protect them. And he wanted to be the leader. That was essentially what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the one that took care of everybody and pushed them towards greatness. We know what happens to Kamina, unfortunately, but Simon was able to harness what Kamina had told him throughout the years, put it in place, and became Kamina 2.0. That's what he did.
Yeah.
He saw the confidence and the charisma that Kamina had, and he saw how much Kamina believed in Simon, and he finally embraced it. And that goes on to talk about how great of a character development that Simon had.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Simon at the end of the series compared to the beginning, and it's night and day, you know? And
yes.
And the reason for that transformation is Kamina. You know, if you were going to pin it to one thing, it would be Kamina and his influence over Simon in their younger years, you know? He became the catalyst for Simon's growth. Without Kamina, Simon most likely just stays underground in that village the rest of his life digging tunnels. But with Kamina's influence, Simon decided he understood that there was more out there. You know, there was more potential. I can chase my dreams. I can have other ambitions than what the village tells me is right and wrong. And that ultimately served to turn Simon into this, like you said, Kamina 2.0, this charismatic leader that eventually went on to do incredible things.
And with that is going to wrap up today's episode of the best father figures in anime. Do you agree with our list? If you do, get in the comments below and let us know which one you think out of the 3 that we've listed is the better father figure. If you think there's one in the future that maybe we need to look into as a father figure and add on to the list, don't be afraid to put that in the comments as well. Also, speaking about the comments, don't forget, guys, content creator Q&A every week before the new episode goes up. We take questions from the Instagram page and from the YouTube comments. So if you haven't been putting questions in there, feel free to do so. We're always looking to engage with you guys, and that also lets you know that we're paying attention to you in the comments. You're able to go to our Instagram and watch us answer your questions. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to leave a like and be sure to share with your friends. Who knows? You might have friends that are looking to get into anime at some point but don't really know where to go. lead them here. We can help point them in the right direction.
Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Again, we love the society. We love doing this page, and we can't thank you guys enough for all of your support.
And with that, we are going to get the heck up out of here. We will see you next time, Anime Society.
Peace!